Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to PMP Exam Immersion. This is where we're going to immerse ourselves into the PMP exam dogma. We're going to go from 0 to 300, not even stopping at 100, all the way to 300. So I'm really excited that you joined. Welcome, welcome. You know that the PMP exam is a beast, and you need a beast handler, someone that can help you tame the beast. Well, you joined the right program because I've been doing this for the past 16 years. In fact, my anniversary is coming up for my PMP. I got certified in 2005, the 25th of June. So this week, I have an anniversary of 16 years as a PMP. And since I got certified, I've been helping people, coaching people, training them to get this beast off their back. I've got over 10 project management certifications, PMP, CAPM, PMI SP, PMI ACP, Prince 2, PSM, PSPO. There's so many of them. But the bottom line is you chose the right program. You chose the right program because one, it's not going to be death by PowerPoint like a lot of other programs. And two, you're going to get a trainer and coach who has been there, done that thousands of times. Praizion Media has helped so many companies across the world get certified, get their people to that next level in project management. So it's a pleasure to be doing this for you today. Let's take a look at the domains that we have for the PMP exam. There are 3 domains. So unlike the previous exam that was initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling and closing, this exam is broken down into people, process, and business. So when you look into the people domain, it's everything to do with human interactions. The process domain is everything to do with the methodologies and the frameworks and the tasks. And then we have the business domain that is all about meeting the company's strategic business objectives and marrying what you're doing in project management to the overarching business that you're in. All right, so that's how the exam is broken down at a really high level. Now, if you go to the next level, you can slice across and break people into predictive, agile, process. You can break it down into predictive, agile, and business. So what I want you to be thinking of is this. I want you to look at people as having 2 factions. Think of people as being in the world of predictive, the way people are led could be different from in the world of agile or hybrid, if you will. Okay? Because you see, the PMI are telling you the exam is going to be partially agile and hybrid, 50%, and then predictive, 50%. So you got to always remember where we talk about hybrid, hybrid just means agile and predictive combined into a morphed approach. When it comes to hybrid, you got a lot of agile stuff and you've also got predictive stuff, but it's a mix and it's a very tight mix. Now, someone might say, how do I even know on the exam if a question is people predictive or people hybrid? Well, they usually tell you you're a project manager on an agile project, or you're a project manager using a hybridized approach. Or they may not even tell you that, but through the wording, you can tell it's neither agile, neither predictive, it's somewhere in the middle. For example, you could get a question that says, you're a project manager and you're using emotional intelligence to bridle your emotions and the emotions of the team. What does this describe? Or which process does this describe? Or which stage of the project does this best describe? You got to understand emotional intelligence could be used in any project. So there are a lot of concepts in people that could be predictive, they could be agile or hybrid, right? The same way I want you to think about the people is the same way I want you to think about the process. Again, process, you could have predictive and you could have agile or hybrid. The same thing for business. Business, you could have some predictive components and you can have some components that are more agile sounding. And the way you know this is by reading one very important document. That is actually free from the PMI. It is known as the PMP Exam Content Outline. I'm going to show you that outline right now. PMP Exam Content Outline, I'm going to send you a link. I want you to read this PDF like there is no tomorrow. Like, read it like your exam depends on it, because it does. The more you know the outline, the better you are going to be on your exam. So let's take a look at this outline. Take a look at the outline, whiz through the first few pages, and then we come to where you've got this table showing you people, process, business. Just what I told you initially, all right? Now, if you go down to the next section, you can actually see what people entails. Managing conflict, leading a team, supporting team performance, empowering team members and stakeholders. I want you to be so confident that you control your emotions about the exam. I don't want you to feel the exam is going to control you. No, no, no. You control the exam because you know where everything is. You know what they're going to give you. You know what the questions could entail. That's the level I want you to get to by the time we're done with this course. Even if there are items that you feel, you know what, I don't really understand that, I don't really know that. Don't worry. The first step is knowing what you don't know. When you know what you don't know, you can close the gaps. And that is where we are going with all of this. We learned something awesome. All right, let's move on to build a team. Building a team, we're going to do a number of things. So before you intake team members, you're going to appraise stakeholder skills. You're going to deduce project resource requirements. What does the project need? You're going to continuously assess and refresh team skills to meet project needs. And you're going to maintain team and knowledge transfer. But you're going to ask the question right from the get-go, what kind of team members do we need? What is the profile of the people that we're looking for on this project? That needs to be the primary question. And when you know who you're looking for on the project, you build a team, and then you keep the team together. We're going to hear from our buddy Roy on this one. Let's listen.
Yeah, so we start out by making sure that we are selecting the right people for the particular work level of effort. Now, ideally, we're not selecting a team and building a brand new team every project. We're building the team to make sure that they have complementary skills, and then we bring projects to them, right? So it comes, basically you build a team and you bring the work to them, right? Don't get the work and bring the team to the work, right? So you kind of reverse that upside down a little bit. And the intent here is that you intentionally build teams that work well together. They have the right skill sets, the right training, they have the right behaviors and things of that, the soft skills in order to work well together. We also focus very heavily on the Tuckman formation, team formation stages. So they go through that journey, and we want to get them up to a high level of performance. If we're constantly tearing them apart and rebuilding them, that Tuckman model is useless because you're going to stay in the first two phases forever, and these are not going to be very productive teams. We also want to make sure that the team is identifying what their own needs are. So when you're building a team, they are responsible for their own growth. They are responsible for asking for assistance. It's not a manager's job to give them things. It's a manager's job is to make sure they have an environment and they have the ability to ask for things, and that they feel that they are empowered to improve themselves, not that they require managers to do it for them. Flip that whole concept upside down, right? It used to be managers tell people what to do. Managers say, you need to go for this course. May still be some of that, at least in early days of team formation, but we want to encourage the team to do those things all on their own. Now, skills marketplace, just to bring that back up again, is an aspect of this, in that we're forming teams intentionally and when we discuss the skills that each team member has and what we can bring with each other. It's not just about education. It's also about getting to know each other and understanding our capabilities so that we can work better together. So, and Phil, you mentioned, it's not resource. Well, I hate that word, resources. Of course there are resources, but that's physical equipment. That's money. That's all, servers and software and tools and hammers and all that kind of good stuff. Those are resources. That is part of your project resourcing plan. People is not part of that, right? So just keep that in mind. All right, back to you, Phil.
All right. So Roy, my Buddy Roy, he's very passionate about calling people resources. Don't do it. He doesn't like it. I don't blame him, because when you call people resources, it dehumanizes them and just makes them commodities. Welcome, my friends. Today is the 23rd of June, and it is day 3 in our PMP Exam Immersion. It is unbelievable that we've only spent 6 hours, but it sure feels like we spent a lot more, just judging from the value that you're getting from the training. And that's why I like immersion training, because it puts you right into it in quick succession. So instead of waiting an entire week to get this value, you're getting it in days, day after day after day. That's what we mean by vertical. We have to go all the way through. So when we split a story, we're serving up part of the cake, yes, but we want to give the customer the essence of the whole cake. You're not giving them the whole cake, but you're giving them a slice that cuts into those layers. Another example is you're building a website and you want to deliver value to the customer. Delivering a login page with nothing else is not vertical. It's not cutting across all the things. Maybe you could give them a login page and some content to at least work on, instead of focusing everything on a one page. And then what does a customer have for value? Nothing. So that's the idea. Developers have an inclination to only work on one layer at a time and get it right, but a full database layer has little value to the customer if there's no presentation layer. You can't tell me, oh, here's the database. How are we going to show it to you? It's done. No, it's not going to fly. All right. So a lot of topics to think about here. I know it's scheduling, but it's across everything else. And that's what makes the exam kind of agile, in that if you don't have an understanding of these concepts, you can't effectively answer the questions. See what I'm saying? All right. We're going to hear from our buddy, as usual. You know the drill. We're going to hear from Roy, and Roy is going to be sharing with us the perception, how we should perceive the scheduling aspect.
Yeah, actually, I like schedules. Maybe I'm an oddball in the Agile community, but I do like schedules. In Agile, we tend to prefer fixed dates, and that is as long as there's a caveat there, as long as we have the option of variable scope. So that's what we prefer to have. It's not always the case in every project, but that's the preference. So with that, if you can have a fixed date, then we can adjust the scope accordingly. And you can usually be really good at meeting those dates because you have the option of reducing scope when you get close to that date. That's the idea. So now the good thing is that in order to get better at estimating those schedules, we have velocity. So we use historical data, which is our velocity, how much stuff a team can do consistently and reliably, sprint over sprint. And that information is invaluable when we're forecasting and defining what our schedules are. Now, also, remember, we typically don't do Gantt charts, so it's not that kind of a schedule, right? It's usually a little bit dumber. And the reason is that there are going to be plenty of opportunities for that Gantt chart or that schedule to change. So we like to make it as lightweight and simple as possible. And that way we get the opportunity to change it without a lot of overhead. So we do high-level planning, high-level schedule. We do like fixed dates. It's perfectly okay to have a fixed date. And then we estimate what scope we can get done within that. If we get to the end and we're still not done the scope, then we have the option of reducing scope. That is our preference. Not always possible based on the project, but we go to the reducing the scope first. All right, back to you, Phil.
All right. As always, good to hear from our buddy Roy. So the general idea of what Roy has been explaining to you is, if you get to the end of a sprint and there's stuff that is left to do, you are going to spend some time re-estimating. You're not going to take it for granted that it's going to take exactly the same as when you first estimated it. There might be more intelligence that you've gained along the way, and that could influence how long you perceive that thing to be. All right, so just keep that in mind. It works very differently in the world of Agile. We spend a huge amount of time talking about this in the full-blown training, but this is really just a reminder. All right, so that's the very first task. All right. I think at this point, I should try to ask you a few very simple questions. Very simple, okay? So I'm going to ask you a few simple questions from what I call my PMP Quick Question Series. This is going to be about schedule management. It is so trivial, and I'm sure you're going to do well based on our previous discussions. All right, remember, it's an anonymous poll. No one knows who's voting what. So just go ahead, jump out, pick an option, move on. This is a 20-second question. Go.